I try to explain something about Bohumil Hipschman, one pupil of Otto Wagner School, and his architecture in around industry. Bohumil Hipschman, born in old town in center of Prague, and this is very important because a servant of Princess Libusha. This is some mythological person, maybe from 8th century or 7th century, that this Libusha said that Prague will be golden city, very famous, and this person was very important in era of start of nationalism. Yeah? And Hipschman tried or used Libusha like some person of his one project I show you. The second important is he worked with Friedrich Aumann in Prague and in Vienna in the end of 19th century. And then he began study of Vienna Academy, the first in special school of Victor Lunz, and then between 1901 to 1904 in special school Otto Wagner. This is, I show you some school works, for example, apartment house and hotel, like typical school works in Wagner school. The second, church. In this time when Hipschman studied in Vienna Academy, Otto Wagner finished his project of church in one big medicine area in Vienna, Steinhof, yes. Next, I think the best work in this starting point of his career was a memorial to victim of railway accident in Semmering, like study of big monument with rocks and like abstract symbol with cross and concentric motif of quadrat. And then finished work is a monument in Vyšehrad, like a big mausoleum with aluminium cupola and the statue of Princess Libusha. It's a little bit absurd that this motif of aluminium like modern material and an ancient motif of Libusha. And look, where is church? No church. Hipschman thought that church in center of Vyšehrad will be demolished because this is pagan monument. This is not Christianity. This is pagan monument like a new symbol of New Prague. Without church, without old monuments. But Vyšehrad is very old place, and this is symbol of this prehistory history. And here is Vyšehrad with this mausoleum. But this is not only typical for Hipschman. When we study Wagner School, we know that some, for example, another architects try or prepare some another monuments, for example, for Hungary, because Wagner, some students from Wagner School were very nationalist. Yeah. When Hipschman came to Prague, he started debate about not only modern city, but about monuments. And this is a very important example. Cathedral, St. Vitus Cathedral in center in Prague Castle, with main tower. And this main tower is a complex of Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque parts. And for some architects or historians, architects, it was very ugly. It was no good architecture, no unity, style unity. And Hipschman tried prepare some church changed helm of this tower, and he studied in Victor Lund's school, and he thought that this unity is better than this heterogeneous complex of some styles, Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque. But, for example, Jan Kotěra thought that this is typical for Prague, and this is unique for this cathedral. And I think this is very important that Hipschman was in the one size modern architect, and in the another size like architect with traditional thinking, without these modern ideas of Alois Riegel, monument thinking about monuments. Yeah. But know about industry, I know. For this is important and others. Context and his family. Yeah. Look, his older brother was a member of Reich Council in Vienna. It's very good, for example, position, and lawyer. His younger brother studied architecture at School of Applied Arts in Prague under Jan Kotěra. This is a connection with another member of Otto Wagner, and the youngest brother, Václav, was a painter. Yeah. And this is very important because this family was not rich, but every member studied high school or university. Yeah? It's important to profilation of this architecture and his profile. For Bohumil Hipschman, when he came to Prague, he started to collaborate with some another young architects, Bendelmeier and Jan Letzel, and this is it's his work for hotel in Wenceslas Square, for example. Yeah. And this is very rarity photography. This is flat of Bohumil Hipschman. This is one picture. This is Hipschman and his wife. And these pictures were by Václav Hipschman, his brother. Yeah. It's a very traditional concept of flats. He tried, usually went to Počátky. Počátky, it is small town in between Moravia and Czech lands. And this is a house by Bohumil Hipšman for some citizen of Počátky, and this is a hotel by Antonín Hipšman. This is older and a little bit historism, and this is like modern style of this time by his brother. In this time, he collaborated to prepare pavilion for one exhibition. Sorry, this is Czech, I don't know. This is pavilion for food, and this is exhibition in 1908 showed business and some production. This is, for example, inside of this pavilion, like crystalline motifs and others, but with residuum of Art Nouveau, some forms. And this is first industrial object. This like we're working so near Počátky by Antonín Hipšman. Yeah? This building from bricks with pictures. Here some sgraffito and other motifs. But this building is too small and not interesting for his career. Better was in some buildings in Prague. And the last building in small town, Počátky, was villa for Tomáš Novotný, some builder, by Antonín Hipšman and his older brother. Why I show these buildings? Because small town was very important for Czech architecture. Big towns and very big firms usually were in German and Jewish owners. Yeah? And, but in these small towns, there live bigger or stronger Czech elements for initiate of new architecture. Another example was Mělník, small town northern of Prague, and you can see some villas for Marie Neumann with folklore elements and other Art Nouveau motifs like this. This is another villas, and this villas were like not only for living, but usually like pavilion for exhibitions. For example, this Röhrs villa was constructed for exhibition of furniture, and later was for some family. The one important theme of Hipšman was Old Prague or monuments, and for example, town hall in center of Old Prague. This is one competition project from 1909 with big loggia and central motif with monument with motif John of Huss. Yeah? And this is some contrast of this tower and new towers of this new part of town hall. I show you another examples from center of Prague. This building no exist. This building was in a place where is now a department store Kotva, and this is near National Theatre House for František Matějovský. And I think this is a famous building for Jewish society, Chevra Kadisha, in the center of Jewish quarter near old Jewish cemetery. At the center of this building with very beautiful paintings with motif of some Jewish system of burning and some motif from Jewish cemetery. And now it start about industrial buildings. This is a mill in Prague Holešovice when Hipschman prepare project for facade because builder Josef Vaňka prepared this very old, very traditional historian project of facade, and this motif was changed to this modern style by Hipschman. I think it's typical for him, this system of grid, like grid of this geometrical, like typical for Wagner, Schuller, no, this is not Schuller, Wagner pupils, yes. Another example, big example, there is area of factories, of plants near Prague, in Hostivař, now it's part of Prague, with some buildings, for example, this is mill, this is some glass fabric, and this is another parts. And you can see like this aerial looks around 1920. This is another view of this building with a motif of water tower like this, or another example when I show this order before conversion, this aerial. I show you another example. This is not exist power plant in Ervěnice. This small village no exist because it was destroyed in 60s and 70s because there is brown coal, and this power plant was destroyed too. But you can see this big area with new block of transformation station with these halls and part with cool part. Yeah. This is open gate with connection between another parts. This is, a teď mi prosím vás pomůžte, hala strojů. Engine house, no. Tak jo. Já jsem myslel, že to bude něco složitější. Tak, and this engine house with steel beton construction. For Hipschman was typical use concrete, yeah, with concrete construction, and Hipschman used concrete usually. And looks, I show you, this is asymmetric composition. But for his plans or his conception of fabric areas was typical central composition or symmetrical, because his biggest project was this part, rebuilding of this part, Prague, below the Emmaus Monastery in a new town of Prague. You can see these buildings for ministry and some commercial buildings. This vestibule from one building, and you can see this carpet design, and looks usually like urban grid or with central composition. And this is typical for this type of new classicism like Hipschman produced. And this is important for his projects of plants and other systems. For example, this is Bilas, which project for himself, and this is another typical projects. And in the end of this, or my presentation, I show you one project not in Prague, but in Ostrava, Czechoslovak factory for nitroglycerous substances in Moravian Ostrava from 20s. Hipschman prepared this project like example of new production of chemical elements for not only for not only for jo, ale teď zemědělství. No já vím, ale já to ne, to agriculture, but for like, pardon? Fertilizer. Yes, and for explosions, yeah.
Feeds you and kills at the same time.
Prosím?
Feeds you and kills at the same time.
In the center of this factory, like you can see here, is Energocentrum, like center of energy, and water tower. Yeah? And from this, connections or connections to another buildings with like factory, because it was not only one factory, but with every this building was like another production system. Like here you can see this big area. Next part of this building was connected to countryside. And in the end of my presentation, that this is not example of modern production, but this is a production of architecture like conception of ale to už si přečtete. No, už nemůžu. I am tired, sorry, a little bit. But Hipschman was not avant-gardist. This is not functional architecture, but with some elements of functionalism. He thought about a system of organization of these factories, yeah? But composition was very important for him, and sometimes was more important than this function connections. Yeah, finish.